So my parents, they decided that they were going to go to Turkey, but they couldn't leave. So they had to smuggle themselves.
They couldn't leave Iran because
there were a revolution happening and all that stuff. And people weren't allowed to leave that easily. So they smuggled themselves through the mountains. And here they are, you know.
So they had to get smugglers to get them out of Iran to Ankara, Turkey.
Yes.
Gosh. Okay. Could you imagine that?
No one can ever imagine any of these things that happens to other people in the world. We Americans are very truly
Blessed.
You heard it here, people.
Well,
you are blessed.
proud Americans.
We
right?
are blessed.
Welcome back to You Can Handle the Truth. I'm Kathy Afzali, and yes, today is the day you've been waiting for ever since episode 2, Broadway to a Miracle in a Mall dropped. I've had countless friends ask, I want David's side of the story. And just yesterday, I was leaving my dentist's office when one of the front desk ladies said, the escalator. How did David get to the escalator? So 34 years ago, on July 10th, God's love and compassion said yes to my earnest 8-day prayer. So before we dive in, I highly recommend you listen to episode 2 first. It sets the stage for what was happening in David's life that led to the miracle. You really need the context to fully appreciate how David Afzali ended up at Nordstrom's in Paramus Mall Wednesday, July 10th, 1991. And yes, David Afzali, the man who was just minding his own business when his plane got stuck in a revolution, he lost his luggage and he broke out in hives. And, well, I'll let him tell you the rest of the story. Annabelle will keep the story moving as you listen to how God orchestrated a miracle, just because he can.
Well, welcome, Dad.
Well, thank you.
We're happy you could join us.
It's a pleasure.
Well, for those of you who don't know, this used to be his office that was overtaken by a podcast
Yeah,
studio.
sorry.
Yes,
So
those
aren't
good
you-
old days.
Aren't you happy to be back, honey?
Indeed. Thank goodness I am allowed into my office.
Yes, we allowed him in.
Yes, thank you so very
Don't get
much.
it twisted. Well, I'm in the middle of both of my parents.
Hallelujah.
Who does she look like?
Who do I look like the most? I get both, honestly.
You're
Yeah.
handsome like me. You're gorgeous like your mom. So
Oh,
Great.
he had
I'm-
to say
I'm
that.
handsome.
yes,
'cause
they
we're
paid me to
in
pay
his
that.
office. That's right. So, hi, honey.
Okay. Well,
Hello.
how do we even begin this?
Well, so as mentioned in the opening, people have been just really hounding us about telling David Afzali's side of the story because he's apparently more interesting than I am.
The amount of friends that have been like, so how'd your dad get there?
How'd he
Right?
get there? How'd he get there? And this is such an amazing part of the miracle. And that's why I want you, honey, to share your story to the best of your ability. And if you
Yes.
forget something,
You
Annabelle
guys
and
can
I will
help me
try to
bring it back.
try to help you. But you were just the victim of a very earnest prayer by a very
Cruel
desperate-
joke.
almost 34 years later. Yes,
He's
a
like, "Dang
cruel
it."
joke. It was 34 years ago, honey.
Correct.
That July 10th. So I think
That's the day Kenny proposed.
I know. Well, July 3rd is a huge. Oh no, July 10th is the
Well,
day
July
Kenny proposed.
3rd, we started dating. And oh, wait, that's our wedding anniversary.
And that's your
Yes.
wedding.
And then July oops.
One small little
Sorry.
detail.
Sorry,
We'll have to
Kenny.
edit that out, Kenny.
That's correct.
And then July 10th is when he proposed.
Yeah.
That ain't a coincidence.
It's a special day. It's a special day in the Afzali annals of history.
It's all God doing.
But
so
the
don't
question is, it was all God. And even though David Afzali wasn't a believer in Jesus Christ back then, he saw the power of prayer and
You
the power
don't
of
even
his
know
grace.
how I saw it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
You
all
got
right.
forced into it.
So in 1991, this is when all of this goes down. I start earnestly praying the novena on July 3rd. Do you remember where you are and if you were traveling yet? Because this is an important piece of the puzzle.
No, my whole travel took about 4 or 5 days most. I was supposed to be there about 9 or 10 days, where you may recall.
I think you have to go back.
Right. Let's rewind.
Yeah.
Why don't you start with saying why you were traveling? Right?
So it all started in 1991. I had just, I think a year before, I had received my green card, and I had applied for my mom residency, and she had an appointment with the American embassy in Turkey, Ankara, the capital.
Ankara, Turkey, which is the capital of Turkey. Okay.
So I had to have a lot of paperwork to take with me. So I go with her so we can go see Mr. Consulate. And
In Ankara, Turkey. And
Yes.
this is an important thing to know because we haven't told your whole immigration story, but he left Iran right before the revolution, and he came as an exchange
a couple of
student.
years, 77.
77, and was not able to go back to Iran. So he had never been out of the United States prior to this trip. He had never left. He had a green card, but he was afraid to leave until this trip, which was you had to go to Ankara with all this paperwork to bring for your mom. Now, talk about Mom and June and Papa and how they got to Ankara, Turkey.
So my parents, they decided that they were going to go to Turkey, but they couldn't leave, so they had to smuggle themselves.
They couldn't leave Iran because
There were a revolution happening and all that stuff, and people weren't allowed to leave that easily. So they smuggled themselves through the mountains, and here they are, you know.
So they had to get smugglers to get them out of Iran to Ankara, Turkey.
Yes.
Gosh. Could you imagine that?
No one can ever imagine any of these things that happens to other people in the world. We Americans are very, truly
Blessed.
blessed.
You heard it here, people.
Well,
You are blessed.
proud Americans,
We
right?
are blessed.
Okay.
At any rate, so they have the appointment, and they tell me when the appointment is, and according to that appointment, I bought tickets to leave from JFK to go to Ankara in Turkey.
And what was
But, yeah,
So you were in New York. You came
I was
to
in
New York.
New Jersey,
New
New York
Jersey.
area, yes. So
You started off in Arkansas.
that's the other.
That's the other story,
Yeah,
but-
that's the other story.
Go
We
Chargers.
won't go there. Go Chargers, go.
well, the immigration story is coming because that's really well worth hearing. But
Oy
we're
vey.
sticking with the plan
Okay,
today,
sorry.
Okay.
You were in
which is the
New
miracle
Jersey.
story.
Yes.
Okay.
So, because I was not that rich, so I bought the cheapest flight available.
He was still a student at this point.
The
right.
cheapest flight available was through Romanian Air called Tarom Air. And there are many reasons why it was cheap. So I go in, I sit on the plane, and you can see that the plane is shaking, basically. And I said, okay, I got my last days ahead of me.
Wait a minute. So you get on the plane. It's like the Flintstones plane. You have to like it's like
is.
push it and jump
Yes,
in kind
yes,
of plane.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Spirit Air, whatever.
So we
Romania.
are going to Ankara. But while we're going to Ankara, there was a delay, so we had to basically go to Romania, Bucharest.
All right. So he had to go to Bucharest. So do you remember the date? Because this is
Yeah.
important because
Well,
I am praying.
It was, obviously, it was before July 10th.
It was before July 10th.
Yes.
Do you know what day the appointment
It's
was?
within that 8 days because
Right.
He hasn't said anything about the appointment.
Well, he said something about the appointment at the Ankara embassy.
Yes, correct.
That
Yeah,
appointment.
that
Yes,
appointment. So we have a stopover because we ran out of fuel. We had to go and refuel. But once we land on the
Tarmac.
runway, guess what? We have all these soldiers coming in, and they started asking us to deplane to go to, I guess you call it questioning room, and they all wanted to know why we were there.
Now,
And
so wait, you say soldiers? Did they have guns? Were
Oh
they?
yeah, absolutely.
guns.
We got these big 6'5" people coming in with guns, and nicely they ask us to go because they have the guns. So
So you had no choice.
yeah, I had no choice. So
These
we all
were
go to.
really cheap tickets.
So while they're refueling, they're asking us, "What are we doing here? Why are we here? What's our business?" So needless to say, we missed our connection.
Okay.
You didn't make it to Ankara. Is that how you
I
say it?
didn't make it. So we all go back to the airport because we need to rebook our, remember, it's cheap flight. We had to,
and a former Soviet bloc
correct,
country.
yes.
So
They had just, I think, gotten rid of Chechnya or whatever his name was. I don't know who the Romanian
I don't
guy
remember
was.
my Romanian history.
I
but,
know, I
okay.
forgot.
No help here.
So I'm standing in front of the lady who happens to be the manager for Romanian airline. And you know me, I started talking, having a nice time.
Hold on.
And
If anyone knows Dad, knows that he can talk his way out of anything. He's a schmoozer. He's the best negotiator. You want Dad on your side.
That's right. Even a Romanian revolution, he could talk his way out
Dad's
of.
like, let me just see what I can
Let
do.
me
So-
see what I could do about this. Okay.
so we get the point that there are no other flights available until 2 days later. So I was nice. I said, okay, I'm going to miss the appointment. There's nothing I can do. But
So you missed the appointment for
well,
your mom
the
at the
next
embassy.
day was the appointment, but obviously
gosh.
I'm going there 2 days later.
Right.
So she was very nice. She understood. And meanwhile, they lost my luggage with all the paperwork that was needed to be presented to.
So you put your mother's most important paperwork in the luggage. You didn't think to carry that on, honey.
Yeah, no.
We have a rule in the Afzali house. So
Yeah.
any medication that you
Anything
need,
important
anything important
stays
goes in
with
your
you.
carry-on.
And why
That's
do you
right.
think that rule exists?
That's right.
That's what it stems
Oh,
from.
honey.
That's
Yes.
so true. I
So
didn't think
all
about
your
So-
mom's paperwork for her green card is in the luggage and it's gone. I'm sure it wasn't lost. It was probably
So you'll get to
Stolen.
that. I don't even know
Okay.
if you remember, but
Okay,
I'll
I
tell
don't.
you after.
okay.
At any rate, so I figured, okay, I must as well make the best of it. So I'm talking to her. We become friends. She's giving me the nice hotel. She's giving me lots of coupon to eat for the next 2 days. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
And then I also asked her if I could use her phone. I mean, you know, Romania to call to Turkey. So I called my mom and I said, don't expect me. I'm not coming. We'll figure something out when I get there. So I give her the new information. So I'm having a good time in Romania for 2 days. All I did was I sat, I walked,
You ate.
I ate a lot.
Okay.
and-
So tell me about your hotel room. This was the nice
Oh,
hotel.
This is so nice hotel. You go into the room, it stinks. The shower dripping, the toilet.
You're saying it's their nice
It's
hotel,
their nice
but it was
hotel,
still
yeah.
a dump.
So this is communism at its best, which is not very good. So this was
No.
their best hotel,
Correct.
and it wasn't nice.
And you know, you could. I mean, the screens weren't really screens because they had holes, and I don't want to
bugs were
say
coming in?
roaches, but the bugs were in and out.
Oh gosh.
So it's fine.
We
you
don't do
know. I'm
bugs.
young at that age, so what the heck, right? So 2 days passes, and
No, you're young. You're probably how old? 20.
so 91, I was 30 years old.
He's 30. Now keep in mind, part of why this could be happening is there's someone in New Jersey praying fervently for my perfect someone to get to New Jersey by July 10th, 1991.
Unbeknownst to me,
He
all
doesn't
these things
know.
happening.
We
He's
haven't
like,
met.
"Gosh, this
knowing
sucks."
a thing.
This is the backstory, but okay. Keep
So,
going.
make the long story longer, I got on the plane 2 days later.
So you get on the plane to go to Ankara. Okay. Okay. What? I'm just getting clarity.
We can't do a family podcast because it's like dad's trying to talk him up. Like, come on. Like, get to it.
Okay, so we get to Turkey. I see my mom and dad. We go to the hotel. And she said, well, we don't have an appointment. I said, well, let's go see what's happening. So,
Mama Jane said that.
yeah, my mom. So the next day we go. And we were very nice. And
You did say before how the people were behaving in the American
So
embassy.
in the American embassy, I knew that, if you have someone is yelling at you, you're not going to get your way. So I decided, I told my mom and dad, I said, don't say anything, I'll see what I can do. So we go in there and I'm very nice, I'm talking.
As you always are.
And I said, told them the story, I got stuck, they lost my luggage, I don't have anything. So, but the assistant said, well, why don't you talk to the consulate guy anyway? Said, okay, so we waited. We came back after lunch. We saw him. I went through the whole thing, and my mom is sitting there nicely, and something went into him. He said, you know what? You're not yelling. You're very nice. You're not screaming at me. You respect me. And I did also mention to him the senators that I had and all the paperwork.
David Afzali is a schmoozer.
And I said you could even call the senators in New Jersey, whatever, and you can talk to them. So I brought all these things, and I
Dad
told
just
him.
knows all these
He
senators.
just
that
starts name dropping.
Yeah.
Whether he knew them or not. Oh, yeah. My good friend.
Call him up.
So he said, okay. He said, you know what? I'll approve the paperwork without even seeing it.
Wow.
So I said, okay.
Honey, that was truly a God thing, right? Because that just, in a real world situation, for them to approve your mom's paperwork without the
anything.
paperwork and just to give her a green card point blank right there. I mean, honey, that was,
Anyway,
Would
it
not
was-
happen.
Yes,
that just wouldn't
correct.
happen in the real,
Yes.
other than the
So-
supernatural.
So I'm supposed to stay there 4 or 5 days, spend time with them and all that. And we're going to celebrate. We go to dinner, and I'm starting to have hives. And I'm sweating like bullets. And I'm saying, what is going on?
So why were you having hives, honey?
I have no idea.
So he's breaking out in hives because some lady in New Jersey is praying a prayer to get him home, to get him back to New Jersey.
Correct. So we go back, and my mom says, she knows me like a
Back to
book.
the hotel.
Back to the hotel. And she
Okay.
says, why don't you? Because I also was nervous
Yeah.
because I had just left the country.
Mm-hmm.
I had my green card. I didn't know if they would let me in or not, even though
Yeah.
you
were,
do.
You were
but
nervous
I was
about
nervous for that.
whether or not you
so
could
she
get
says
back.
to me, you got everything done. Why don't you see if you can leave? So I said, okay.
And that was big of her to say because you
I
don't
hadn't
see her
seen her
often.
in 13 years.
Right.
Right.
So she said that. So I get to the hotel. I start calling, trying to make my flight going, and nothing was happening with Tarum Air. I said, okay, we're just going to forget that, and I'm going to go with British Airways.
Something
can
a
always
little more
count on the Brits.
expensive, but a little more civilized.
Yes.
Maybe the Brits weren't having a revolution that week.
No, they
Okay.
didn't.
Good.
So finally I got back. Thank goodness I went in. And
So you got back on the 9th or you got back on the 10th?
I got back on the 9th.
Okay.
It's late at night, and then, so mind you, on the 11th, I'm supposed to fly to Atlanta for a job interview. So I didn't have any clothes because I had taken all my clothes. It was in my bag.
That
didn't
Romanian
arrive.
air.
That Romania it was there.
You had
So
no clothes. So where do you go when you don't have clothes to wear for a job
I
interview?
have this affinity to go to Nordstrom.
And which Nordstrom and where?
This was in Paramus, New Jersey.
Right. And so,
So the next day, I don't know, 6, 7 o'clock. Actually, I do remember. I get there around 5-ish. I go have dinner, and then I go to
Naturally.
Nordstrom.
why didn't you just
Where'd
come
you
right
have
to
dinner?
Nordstrom?
At Nordstrom?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was Nordstrom.
Yeah.
One of the hotels at Paramus Mall.
I was sweating
One of the
bullets by that time
restaurants.
during the prayer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you made me sweat, so I was making you sweat.
That's right.
So, regardless, 7 o'clock, I go to Nordstrom. I buy a few shirts. I am coming up the escalator. For those of
And?
you that are waiting to hear about the escalator, here it is.
You were coming up the escalator.
escalator.
And
And I see this beautiful woman that I had seen prior 3 months ago who truly ignored me.
Well, wait, maybe they don't remember.
well, if they watched episode 2 like you were supposed to, you're supposed to backtrack and go watch episode 2. The first time we saw each other, he tried to talk to me and I ignored him. I had just been stood up the night before by the person who actually had given me the prayer. And I ignored David Afzali. And
Can't
then
believe you.
I know, I can't believe I did that. So then you came up the
I
escalator.
came out the
and-
escalator and I look at her and I say, that's it. She's the beautiful girl I was looking for.
Oh, honey, you're so you're
nice.
He's totally just saying that.
No. So I came to her. She said, I remember you.
This was when the mall was basically closing, right?
So, yeah, this is about 8-ish. My mall closes around 9-ish. So.
My mall. My mall closes.
My
then.
mall.
His Nordstrom.
Yes.
Well, actually, he does love the mall. You can tell he's one
Yes.
stylish man.
Yes.
Yes.
He loves shopping. That's true.
So
So I said, you must shop till you drop.
you sure did. And I said,
No, wait. We're running over the details.
that's true.
So you see her at 8 p.m., you lock eyes,
We lock
and you
eyes.
both just knew.
We knew. I just walked right next to her.
We both knew.
And I said, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So, as a matter of fact, just for more information about the prayer, that day when I was getting ready, I started to have a panic attack that God was going to give me someone that I didn't think I'd like.
Oh,
Well,
It's
yeah,
like-
that checks out.
I was like, please, God, make sure that I like him. Make sure that can he be somewhat attractive? Can I like him? And so when he came up the escalator in literally what it felt like slow motion and fog, that's how it felt to me. When I looked at him, my first thought when I saw him was, oh God, he's so sweet.
He's so sweet.
He's so sweet. And
You're
you
so
are, honey.
sweet.
You
of course I'm sweet. I married you.
out of pity.
He's so sweet.
He is so sweet. And that was my first thought. And then he came up. We didn't finish the story.
Yeah.
We looked at each other. We both knew. I knew immediately that.
Well, maybe you did. I
Well,
figured I'm just going to go out
Well,
with her.
I mean,
no big deal.
I knew because I was trying to keep it together, and actually, he came up to talk to me at the counter, and really, honestly, the whole world was dissolving, and we were just talking probably
For a good half
for
hour.
a good half hour or more. We just kind of lost track of time, and at one point, the girls that were working behind the counter took me, called me aside and said, "Is this guy bothering you? Do you want him to leave?" I was like,
weirdo bother?
I was like, don't you talk to him. Don't you get rid of him. He's mine. I was just afraid that he'd leave and I wouldn't have a phone number or something. So then you said,
Yeah, but you ignored me about, you said, where are you from? You have
That's
the
right.
accent.
I shared that in another episode, but I did say, I noticed an accent. Where are you from?
Said
And
Brooklyn.
he said Brooklyn, and I was like, yeah, where are you from? And that's when he said, I'm Persian. And I could just tell from the hesitancy of his manner. I said, oh, you're from Iran? And I kind of saw him kind of get deflated a little bit just because of everything that had
thought you were
happened.
gonna turn around.
He thought I was going to turn around again and turn my back on him. And my next thought after he said Iran was, how am I going to explain to my mother that I'm going to marry an Iranian? So I knew then that I was going to marry you. I didn't know how God was going to work that out. And it turns out he was leaving for Atlanta the next day to actually move to Atlanta. And I don't know if we said that in that conversation or when we walked to the car, which I'll explain to you how that happened. What?
No, that's what I was gonna say.
We want to hear your perspective, honey.
So after you didn't ignore me after I said I was from Iran, it was time to close the shop,
The store
basically.
was closing.
So I said, if you're not spoken for, may I collect your phone number? That's what I said. Isn't that what I said?
Because obviously it was the 1800s and he needed to speak.
You're not spoken for.
You're not spoken for.
May I collect your phone number? So she
Right.
gave it to me. And then I said, may I walk you to your car in the parking lot?
So now you have to understand something. We're in Paramus, New Jersey. I said, absolutely. I'm letting this absolute strange man walk me in the dark to my car in the shopping mall parking lot. But I just was trusting God. I was like, I'm just going to walk to the car with him.
And that's it.
So we walked to the car. I gave him my phone number, and then he left, and I got in my car, and I had shared before that I just drove back to my apartment in utter and complete silence because I knew that I had had a miracle, and it was totally and utterly impossible for you to be there that night in that mall.
So that was Wednesday. Thursday, I fly to Atlanta. I do my business. Friday, I'm visiting my friends that I had was spending the weekend with. And
Also, Dad is so popular.
He's
He has
very
friends
popular.
in every
If
state,
you name,
every country.
if you name a
really.
town, he's got a friend there.
yes, so
Or if he doesn't, he'll make one before you
Yes,
get there.
Yes.
correct.
Right.
So I was there. So then I left and I came back, and then I called your mother. She keeps me on the phone for half hour.
No, that was a different.
Yes.
No, it was like 3 hours.
No,
No,
he
no,
called
that
me.
one-
You called me when I was moving.
You were moving,
I was
yes.
moving from one apartment to the next, and I had some of the kids from the children's theater, and I was so distracted. And the phone rings, and it's him, and one of the kids answers the phone, and he said, tell her it's David." And I was like, "What? Who?" And I'm like, "David." Mom! I don't know what. Well,
You
I
were
was a
probably like,
dingbat.
"Oh, she doesn't
yeah,
She doesn't remember me, and
Yes.
and I went, "Oh, David!
You mean my
I was like,
husband?"
I was like, I was like, hello. Oh, hello.
Oh, nothing. I'm not doing anything.
Just a regular day. So that's when he asked me on our first date. He got a moving violation ticket.
No,
Our
wait.
first date.
Wait a minute.
A speeding ticket.
Who was
violation.
late? So I had made this fabulous reservation at the shore, but we had to leave by 6. But this young lady
Of
was
course.
30 minutes late.
Of course you were.
So I had to make up the time. So
Right.
And he
right, I
showed
see
up.
both
He brought
sides.
me chocolates and flowers.
roses and Godiva chocolate.
And Godiva
That's so
chocolate.
you.
It was so him. And we got in the car, and the first date should be a lesson in what's to come. My husband's got a lead foot, and he got a speeding ticket. Which, by the way, Luke got one. Mary Kate and Luke's first date. He got a speeding ticket too.
No, when they got engaged, not their first date.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
when they were engaged,
that must mean real love. If the guy's willing to get a speeding ticket for
Kenny
you.
hasn't gotten one with me.
No, oh, well, it must not be real love.
No, that's because he's an accountant.
That's right. He doesn't have a spreadsheet for a moving violation.
They'd actually be like, "Can you speed it up, sir?"
That's right. Kenny's got a spreadsheet for everything.
So that's the story
That's
of lovely
why.
lady.
Here's a story of a lovely lady.
So the power of prayer. The prayer was an 8-day prayer that I started on July 3rd, 1991, and on July 10th, 1991, the 8th day of the prayer, just when it said I would get the answer to my prayer, I got my answer. And after our first date, how soon were we engaged?
I say 3.5 weeks, but really 3 weeks.
Well, we disagree on that. I think it was 3.5, but
Okay.
from the first date. But we were going to get married as soon as possible. My mother was trying to get us to marry in November, which was my grandparents' anniversary, but we just couldn't work out our schedules. I was in the middle of production with one of the shows at the Children's Theater. He was in school, so he was doing finals. So it was too much. So we decided to get married. What day, honey?
January 1st,
New Year's Day.
1992.
New Year's Day, and we did it
And
so
what
that
do you always say?
Yeah,
Everyone
even
celebrates.
the reason it is because everybody in the world celebrates
Mm.
our anniversary.
So it was a monumental day for me and the best day of my life, but I've had so many best days of my life
Correct?
ever since then.
Yes, the birth of your children.
Birth of my children, my wedding day, that day in the mall, the day of miracles, and we had one miracle after another. You know, and at one point I want to share, because we do have an episode about God winks. You know, when we went to get married, we went out to California to get married on January 1st, and about 2 days before the wedding, I started to panic. And we were in the car, we were in some kind of a mall, and you ran into like the drugstore or something to buy some shaving cream or something. And I started to panic, thinking, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? I barely know this guy. I'm going to get married. What am I thinking? And you came back and you turned the car on, and the car was playing our song. Our song is, what is our song? You know.
Everything I do it for you.
That's right. Kevin Costner has a special place in our heart because we went and saw the movie Robin Hood.
Right.
And that was the theme song from Robin Hood. And that was the song that had been playing in the mall, because that was the summer that
Movie came
that
out.
the movie came out, The Adventures of Robin Hood with Kevin Costner. He was so great. It was such a great movie. And anyway, he turned the car on and the song started to play. I was like, thank you. I need to hear it. And that's it. And my wedding day,
That's it.
that's it.
Here
So
we
that's
are.
the story.
And here I am because of it.
And here you
And
are.
remember, God got you.
You know, we think
Amen.
sometimes God's not listening, and God always answers prayer, and sometimes the answer is no. But that day God said yes. And he'd planned to say yes because, man, Hives is no laughing
Yes,
matter.
right.
And losing your luggage and being in the middle of a revolution and all of the
Gosh.
things you went through.
This is just one of your guys' crazy stories.
But listen, people, I just want to thank you for listening. You've heard it now that David Afzali and Kathy Afzali, it's really true. There was an escalator, there was a mall, and it was a miracle. And you can hear more of our crazy stories next time on
You Can Handle the Truth.